In 31 BCE, in a seldom visited corner of Greece, a clash occurred that didn't just decide the fate. This battle marked a decisive end to the long period of savage civil wars that had plagued Republican Rome. This wasn't merely a military showdown between Mark Antony, the great general, and Octavian, a young upstart. Mark Antony, despite his vast military reputation, was outthought by a leader whose political intelligence and strategic calculation were truly exceptional. A story never before fully told about the hidden truths behind ultimate victory and devastating defeat. We're exploring it as a total war, where diplomacy, psychological warfare, and economic pressures were just as crucial as the clash of ships. You'll discover the pivotal strategic decisions made by Octavian and his indispensable admiral, Marcus Agrippa. We'll uncover Mark Antony's fatal mistakes and the often underestimated role of Queen Cleopatra in shaping the entire conflict. This wasn't just a battle. It was the decisive end to years of savage Roman civil wars. And you'll see how Octavian's victory laid the foundations for a centuries-long Roman Empire, ushering in an era of peace known as the Pax Romana. Following the brutal assassination of Julius Caesar on March 15, 44 BCE, the Romans. This was a period where three of Rome's most powerful figures rose to prominence: Mark Antony, Octavian. This era saw constant conflict, political maneuvering, and a deep legacy of distrust. Mark Antony, a renowned general and Caesar's trusted eulogist in the Forum, initially held immense power in the Roman East. However, Caesar had named his grandnephew, Octavian, as his adopted son and principal heir, a decision that deeply angered Antony. Octavian, despite being a mere 18-year-old at the time of Caesar's death, quickly proved his sharp political acumen and cunning. He masterfully persuaded two seasoned Roman legions to desert Antony and join his cause. Even figures like Marcus Tullius Cicero, a staunch opponent of Caesar's dictatorship, found common ground with Octavian in their shared animosity towards Antony. The Roman world effectively split into two spheres of influence. It was here that Antony's life intertwined with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt. Cleopatra was the opulent and wealthy kingdom of Egypt, became a crucial resource for Antony's campaigns. Their relationship was more than romantic. It was a powerful political alliance. Antony publicly married Cleopatra in Alexandria in 34 BCE, a theatrical ceremony that Octavian exploited. This union represented a potential shift in the Roman Empire's center of gravity towards the east. The conflict escalated into a fierce information war. Octavian's propagandists relentlessly demonized Cleopatra, portraying her as a foreign witch who had bewitched and emasculated Antony, turning him against Rome's interests. He effectively controlled the narrative, painting the conflict as a battle of East versus West, decency versus. By 32 BCE, their rivalry was overt, leading to Octavian's calculated declaration of war. Specifically, in response, nearly a third of the Roman Senate, mostly Antony's supporters, fled Rome to join his forces gathering in the east. The stage was set for an inevitable, world-changing confrontation. Mark Antony, once the celebrated hero of Philippi, amassed a formidable force. Many of them massive triremes, capable of carrying large numbers of marines and catapults. His initial objectives. Antony's strategic misstep began with his choice of base. He concentrated a significant portion of his fleet in the. Antony, once the besieger, would soon find himself besieged. Fleet scene. In stark contrast to Antony's military renown, Octavian possessed an extraordinary understanding of how to balance. The true architect of Octavian's naval superiority was his lifelong right-hand man, Marcus Agrippa. Face me. He was Rome's most decorated naval officer. Agrippa had earned Rome's first gold naval crown for. Agrippa swiftly launched his indirect attack, aiming to cut Antony's vital supply lines. This move was as audacious and risky as George Washington's crossing of the Delaware. Agrippa. The consequences for Antony's forces were devastating. His massive expeditionary force, cut off from soldiers and sailors, suffered from widespread disease, hunger, and thirst, weakening their resistance and leading to widespread desertions. Agrippa continued to inflict multiple defeats on Antony's navy, including a significant victory off the island of Litz. Antony failed to prevent the enemy from cutting his supply lines, from establishing a strong base opposite his main harbor, Sate. With his army and navy severely weakened and morale plummeting, Antony realized his initial plans were untenable. This desperate decision, however, was compromised by crucial intelligence. Quintus Dellius. This final blow further tilted the scales, allowing Octavian and Agrippa to prepare meticulously for the climactic confrontation. By late August, with his forces suffering from disease, hunger, and widespread desertions, Mark Antony. On September 2, 31 BCE, Antony made his desperate move. His fleet, severely reduced, was equipped for flight, not for sustained combat. His oarsmen were weak. Around noon, the sea breeze began to pick up. Antony had to time his move perfectly. His line.
As the wind intensified and shifted to the northwest, a crucial gap opened in the center of Antony's formation.
And it was at this pivotal moment that Queen Cleopatra made her decisive move, signaling the crisis. While hostile Roman historians would later portray this as a cowardly desertion, it was in fact an exemplary. Antony's fleet was losing, and Cleopatra was a fox escaping from the hounds. Antony, not surprised, quickly followed Cleopatra. This was likely also part of the escape plan. Many of Antony's ships attempted to follow, jettisoning heavy siege equipment to lighten their load and raise sails. Agrippa, having been alerted to Antony's plan by the defector Dellius, was ready. His forces attacked with vehemence, despite fierce resistance. Agrippa ultimately resorted to fire as a weapon. Flaming missiles, which quickly caught fire and burned fiercely, especially with the strong northwest wind. The battle was a decisive victory for Octavian and Agrippa. Agrippa and Octavian either captured or sank approximately 140 enemy galleys. Estimates suggest about 10,000 men were killed. Although Antony and Cleopatra escaped with about a third of their war fleet and their valuable treasury, their grand enterprise. The Battle of Actium fundamentally reshaped the course of Western civilization. It delivered peace. Octavian's victory was not merely a military triumph. It was a profound political and ideological one. This moment, as the historian Cassius Dio later observed, marked the true beginning of Octavian's sole possession of all power. He had achieved the audacious vow he made at 19, to inherit all the power and glory of Julius Caesar. For Mark Antony and Cleopatra, the defeat at Actium is catastrophic. Antony fell on his own sword on Olitz. But, realizing no deal would be struck, she famously took her own life on August 10, 30 BCE. Her death was a final, defiant act of sovereignty, choosing the manner and timing of her exit, dressed in royal robes. Caesarion, Cleopatra's son by Julius Caesar, was also murdered shortly after, effectively eliminating any rival claims to Caesar's legacy. With his rivals gone, Octavian made a pivotal decision: the annexation of Egypt. This was Cleopatra's immense treasury provided Octavian with the crucial funds he needed to pay off his victorious legion. Crucially, it allowed him to address one of Rome's most persistent causes of conflict: the issue of land and pay for demobilized veterans. Sphestian, Octavian, now known as Augustus, then meticulously began to construct a new Roman world. This military restructuring, combined with the newfound financial stability, ushered in the Pax Romana. Remarkably, it was the last major naval battle fought in the Mediterranean for 350 years. Augustus was also a master of propaganda, shaping the historical narrative to solidify his rule. He constructed a grand victory monument at Nicopolis, Greece, adorned with the bronze rams of 35. Even the month of Sextilis was renamed Augustus to commemorate his brilliant victories and achievements. Ensured that Actium would be remembered as the war that not only ended the Roman Republic but forged the Roman Empire and laid the foundation for modern Europe. In conclusion, the Battle of Actium was far more than a simple naval clash. It was a comprehensive, total war. Octavian, with his shrewd political intelligence and Marcus Agrippa's unparalleled naval prowess, decisively. This victory wasn't just a military triumph. It was the crucial event that effectively ended decades of brutal Roman civil wars. From this single, pivotal sea battle, the world was irrevocably reshaped, forever altering the— What are your thoughts on Actium's enduring legacy? Did Antony and Cleopatra truly stand a chance? Share your insights below. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more untold historical narratives. And be sure to check out our video on Top 5 Mistakes Antony Made at Actium.